Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So some good news this week is that our inventory did rise. It wasn't a huge jump. It is definitely better than what I reported last week. So let's look at this week's numbers. So in Georgetown this week, we only had 11 properties sell, which is kind of a low number. We've been sitting in those high teens for probably 4 or 5 weeks. So only 11. The interesting thing is of those 11, 10 of them sold over asking. So tons of buyer demand. I do think with the lower inventory levels, we're back to everyone holding off offers. So that also is gonna shift sales, but only 11 is not huge. What is a huge number is 21 new listings. We haven't seen a number that high in a few weeks. And so that is good. I don't know if people took the long weekend to maybe get their houses on, but 21 new listings is good news. In Acton this week, we had 1 property sell. It sold over asking. 1 is a very low number there. So interesting because there's a lot of lower price point stuff available there. And so I'm surprised to see such a slow week. In terms of new listings, there was 3 new listings there. So that is good news that inventory will be up. In Glen Williams this week, we had 2 properties sell. 1 of them sold over asking by like $400,000 because that's just the way it goes sometimes. And 1 of them didn't get over asking, but still really high tickets in the Glen. No new listings there. In Limehouse, no sales, no new listings. In the rural market, we had 2 properties sell. Both of them sold over asking. So the last few weeks I've been talking about how we'll see rural pick up because in town is low and this is supporting that. 2 sales is a good week for rural, and to see both of them going over asking is just indicating that we're feeling a bit of shortage in town. There were 2 new rural listings, so at least some new stuff coming on. So now looking at active inventory. Last week, we were sitting at only 58 active listings in all of Halton Hills, which was very bad. This week we're up to 69. So we did see an increase, which is good. It's still an extremely low number for overall. That is nowhere near the 100 plus that we were seeing 6 weeks ago. And I mean, compared to this time last year, when it was like probably 120 to 140, like these numbers are very low still. In Georgetown this week, we had a huge jump, but it's still low also. We had a huge jump up to 38 active listings from 26. That is good news, but still like not even close to where we need to be. So now looking at our price points, under 700,000 has 5 active listings up from 3. So an increase, but all of those listings are condos or condo townhomes. So there's no freehold products available under 700,000 in Georgetown. 700,000 to 800,000 remain the same at 4 active listings. Where we saw our biggest jump this week was 800 to $1 million. That price point has been struggling to see inventory come up and stay around. So we were at 6 last week. This week we have 13 properties available in that price point. So that's really where we saw our jump. The bad news is that price point just always drops and it moves. So majority of those properties have offers either yesterday or today. And so I anticipate that number to drop next week unless we see a huge amount of new product come up. But really interesting to see such a spike week over week. So the $1 million plus price point is up to 15 listings from 14. Still like half of what we were seeing. It's not enough. That price point is so busy. Some of them got 200,000-300,000 over asking this week. It's a very busy price point and things are moving. So 15 is definitely not enough to satisfy our buyers. Now looking at Acton, we are up to 7 active listings, which, I mean, we're up from 6, but that is still very low. Interestingly, all of them are under 900, so I can't believe that we aren't seeing more stuff transacting there. In Glen Williams this week, we took a huge drop from 5 active listings to 2. So we had 2 properties sell, 1 terminated. So now we're sitting at 2 listings. They start around 1.9. Both of those listings have been here for 4+ weeks. So anything new that's coming up in the Glen seems to be selling very quickly. And then these 2 just don't seem to be moving as much. Again, it's that higher price point. It doesn't move as quickly. But yeah, so huge drop in the Glen this week. Limehouse remains the same this week at 1 active listing, and the rural market also remains the same at 19 active listings. The rural market is sitting a bit low. It's still got some stuff available. It does start at 1.6 million though. Anytime we're seeing lower price point come up in rural, it is moving. And then that higher ticket stuff, just like in the Glen or in Limehouse, it takes a little bit longer to move. Okay, so I guess good news this week. The over asking is still indicating to us that the good listings that are well priced are getting a lot of activity. There is still so many buyers that need to be satisfied before we can feel a shift. The market is changing a bit, and it's not anywhere near where it was 4 months ago. But when our numbers like last week drop to where we were in February, it's certainly alarming, and it's concerning that we are not really changing a pattern here. So normally our summer months are pretty slow, but again, like, this is such a weird market. Nothing is following trend, nothing is following suit. And so it's really difficult to be convinced that this market is changing when we see some properties getting 300,000-400,000 over asking, 18, 20 offers, like, those still exist, which show there's still so many buyers to satisfy. But then there's the odd product that ends up with like no offers on offer night. And so we are in a different market, but there's still tons of people looking and tons of people active. So until these over asking and bidding war numbers start to come down, we are still not feeling any kind of relief. So I still think as a seller, it's a really good time to be capitalizing on the market. People keep saying, you know, by the summer, we're gonna feel a change. By the end of the year, we're gonna feel a change. Like, I don't know when that change is gonna come, because the numbers on paper, like, aren't lying. And we're just not in a completely different market where the buyers are in control. It is still a seller's market, and demand is still here. Nothing seems to be changing for the better yet. So let's see as the summer goes on if we can start to feel a change in inventory rising, less bidding wars. But for now, the story remains the same. We are in a seller's market and things are very, very busy. So have a great week, everyone. I will be back next Tuesday. See you then.